Nick Puzo with Multiplex. This is our FreshBlender self-serve smoothie machine. In this video, we're going to go over some issues that can be reported with water in the cabinet. Dripping or excessive water sometimes can be reported. Normally, it's if a lot of the main causes are product bags not properly in place or in place at all during the weekly cleaning. This will allow water to get pushed into the cabinet during the cleaning. That's normally the main cause for water in the cabinet. If all the product bags have been found in place properly, the water's not coming from the product or the product lines or the sanitation lines, then we can dive a little deeper. We want to check maybe it's a condensation issue, or it could ultimately be because of the evaporator in the back allowing water to trail into the cabinet because maybe a drain line is backed up. First thing we want to do is open the cabinet. You're going to unlock the door. Unlock the top door. Then you come down here and you're going to check. First of all, you want to look over the door. You want to make sure that the door seal looks clean and is pushed in correctly. It does press into the door. If this seal is not sealing good, it's going to allow heat into the cabinet, which then causes condensation. And this can cause some of what's described as water or a leaking issue. What actually it's just allowing hot air, warm air into the cabinet, and then you get condensation. First thing after you've looked at the door, you've looked at the seal looks okay, or it's been cleaned up. You're not sure that the door is the problem. You're going to look around and see where you find the water coming from or where it's been reported from. You look on top of the product bags. If it's on top of the product bags, that's usually somewhat of an indicator of during cleaning, some of the water coming through during cleaning. So if you're seeing a lot of water all the way down at the bottom, in this tray at the bottom, you pull it out like we see here, we've got water sloshing around, and you're absolutely sure that it wasn't cleaned without a product bag in place, then we're gonna want to look up towards the top. You probably have to pull one of these top two bins out, or at least this one on the top left. And you're gonna look up in the upper left of the cabinet. In the upper left of the cabinet, there's conduit that runs from the evaporator that pushes all the cold air down into the cabinet. There's also a small push fan right here that pushes the cold air from the cabinet up through to the dispense head. If you're having a bit of a drain issue, or the evaporator in the back is collecting too much water, or maybe there's excess melt going on for some reason in that evaporator, it's getting pushed out of that evaporator and trailing down this conduit and into the cabinet. This is why you're seeing a lot of water, probably predominantly on the left side of the cabinet, maybe on top of these bags and trailing down to where you have a lot of water captured in this tray. It's probably going to be a service call to try to determine if the drain in the back for the evaporator needs to be snaked or cleaned out, or if maybe there's something else going on in the evaporator itself that's causing water to back up into the cabinet. You'll have to pull the panels off. On this back left side, you have your evaporator box. The evaporator box, this is what cools the refrigeration cabinet. Like normal refrigerators everywhere, they all have an evaporator. They have a normal defrost cycle to where as they get dropped down to a certain temperature, they'll melt off. The water then collects in a pan in the bottom of this evaporator. There's a drain line in this evaporator pan that then goes out the back. Yep. So in the back, the evaporator drains through this center drain here. It loops to keep an airlock on it, and then runs into that trough in there. That can get clogged up sometimes. Rather it be that this loop is too tight and pinches off the line, not allowing the water to pass through, which then makes the water back up into the evaporator drain pan, which then pushes it into the cabinet. So that would need to be looked at. The panel, as I mentioned, on the right side would need to be pulled. There's two screws that hold this lid on the evaporator, and then you have access to the inside of the evaporator. It should be a fairly quick quick check to figure out if there's a lot of water sitting in that pan as soon as you take this lid off. But again, it would be a service call to have a tech come out and perform those functions. So that's how you would check for excessive water in the cabinet and rule out whether it's a condensation or an actual slightly larger issue with the evaporator.